Hello there. Welcome back to our third tutorial about HTML. At this point you should have a web page looking like this with a little bit of content, and you could have probably experimented a little more and put some more content in. But now I want to show you a few more elements that you can use in your websites. And it's always hard to know which ones to show because there are many of them and there's a lot to learn, as you will see, and you probably realized. But we'll just kind of prod along and see what we can and get to on this. But the next elements I want to show you are some more of the header tags, explain that a little bit more, and then also some ordered lists and unordered lists along with that. And so we should have a pretty good, with all those tags and elements, we should have a pretty good start to build some pretty sophisticated websites. Alright, if you remember me talking about the header element here, and the header element can contain header elements for a page or a section. And we also have our H1. Well, the headings, which H1 is the most important heading of, there is also H2 through H6. So H1 through H6, where H1 is the most important on the page or in a section, and H6 is the least important. So if we were going to do something like an H2 here, and we'll close that out right away so we have that taken care of. We can put perhaps what I would consider a subheadline here underneath H1. And that could be something like come back again. So I'll just put that in there again, and not too descriptive, but we can work on that as we go. And then the other element we can put, which will contain these, and this isn't always necessary, but it's called an hgroup. And I don't want to overwhelm you, but you can or can not use this if you would want to. But it's when you start getting a lot of elements, you can start to group them by different things like this. And I will indent these to show that. So now you can start to see the hierarchy that's going on here, with the body tag containing all of these, the header containing this, hgroup containing these two h tags. So I hope that makes sense. And don't get overwhelmed by the hgroup. I'm throwing a lot at you here. But H1 and H2 are very common tags that you'll be using. And then along with that, I'm going to throw in the nav element. I'm following the same conventions as I have before with how to close these. And again, balancing them out. So it's important to see where these line up. That's where Notepad++ and many other code editors do this same kind of thing, but they line up with the closing tag, so you can keep these very organized and balanced. The balancing is just a term for making sure they're closed, because you realize if things don't end up that way, for instance, if I put the nav down here, it's totally out of sync and it doesn't encapsulate anything, so we want to make sure it stays very organized. But the reason I put the nav tag here, the nav element, and it has to be put this exact way, but what that is it's a container for navigation elements. And we're all familiar with navigation elements on a website. Those are the menu items that help you get around to the main sections of the page. So that's where these will be contained. And I'm going to use that as an example as to where to put an unordered list. And an unordered list is just that, it's a list. And lists are fairly common in website design, and they go kind of way back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit enter here and tab in for, or either tab in or space in for spaces, and I'm going to put in an unordered list element. and that is UL. And that will be a container for all of our lists, or for this list. So UL stands for Unordered List, and a very common thing to do for navigation. So I have that inside of a nav element. Again, the nav element is not necessary, but it helps describe it. And contemporary browsers are able to read a nav element and realize it as such. And then inside of a UL, or an unordered list, I'm going to hit enter and tab to get in again. I'm going to put a list item, and I'll close that out again, and I'll go and type an item in there. And what is a common menu item, but of course about me. So that is our one list item. And what I'm going to do at this point, well, first I want to always go back to the balancing item. You'll see that how the hierarchy goes down and stays even with these. These are at the same level, and this is indents 1. And that's very important. That's why I do things like type in the, I'm going to erase this and start this list item over to show you again. The list item, close the list item. So then I know it's already balanced, and then I can type text inside of there. So I just want to keep reinforcing that idea. So what I'll do is I'll save it. I'll go back to our browser, which is open up to that same document. I'll refresh, and all our content will load in there. It'll have our H1 tag, our H2 tag, our list item, and our paragraph item. And it's not all that organized or designed yet, but you can kind of see how the browser organizes some of this. So the H1's bigger, the H2 is not quite as big. The list item has a bullet, and hello world is the paragraph as before. So what I'm going to do, of course a list is going to have many items, right? It can't just really have one, otherwise it wouldn't be a list. I'm going to select this. I'm going to go to edit, copy, and go behind here and hit return and edit, paste. And you can retype this too. I'm just going to paste this in to show that a lot of programming or coding is copying and pasting, so we'll be doing some of that either way. Sometimes if you have it right the first time and you copy and paste it, making sure you're careful to put it in the right place, you've already got it right again. So for the next one, let's say we're going to put a contact page and save it. And going back over to our browser and refreshing, there's a second item. So now we have some extra elements for you to play with. The hgroup, more headers, nav element, the unordered list element, and the list item element. And to finalize a little bit more about the unordered list, is there's also, of course, we have unordered list, we have ordered lists, and those are OL. So I'm just going to change those U's to O's, and that becomes an ordered list. And if you're thinking ahead, you probably can guess what changes about this. I'm going to save it, go back to the browser, and refresh. It makes it an ordered list. And you can see why or why not you might want to use this, depending on what you're trying to do. If it has a specific order, then you want to probably use an ordered list, and if not, the unordered list. So that's all I have for you this time. Next time we'll get into a few more of the elements, and then quickly we'll be getting into cascading style sheets, CSS. And that is one of the more important things as far as the designer goes, into starting to design the page to make it look a little nicer, or depending on how far you go, a lot nicer. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.